In the meantime, we're keeping track of drones that are going into Russia from Ukraine and into Ukraine from Russia. And the back and forth is getting nasty, expensive, and deadly, and more nonstop. Lieutenant Colonel Bob Maginnis with us right now, best-selling author as well. Bob, what do you make of this? Everyone was hoping for a lull in action, anything but.
Yeah, it's not a lull in action. The counteroffensive somewhat stalled, but they're making some progress, the Ukrainians in the south. But the drone issue has been building, Neil, for months. We've seen attacks in Moscow. Even a year ago, we saw a small attack against an airfield in southern Russia. But the most recent ones, a phalanx of very sophisticated, deadly drones have gone into at least 6 areas in Russia, and they're really costing the Russians. Now, keep in mind, they want to push the Russians, the Ukrainians, into a tipping point that's going to really break the morale. They already have. The Russian forces are in a morale slump anyway because mobilization has forced many tens of thousands of them in there, and they're complaining at home. So given all of this, it's not good news for the Russians, but at the same time, just yesterday, the Russian Space Agency announced that it put its intercontinental ballistic missile, the Sarmat, their most sophisticated, on high alert. Now, this is just part and parcel of the saber rattling with nuclear weapons that Putin and Medvedev and others in the chain of command have been using. So there's a little tit for tat here, and it's not looking good.
I was looking forward to talk to you, Colonel. I always do. But on Vladimir Putin post the death, some say the targeted death of the Wagner Group's Prigozhin, the leader. And we're told that Putin right now is trying to sort of coalesce around that and the idea, don't mess with me, I'm back in charge, that he's sending clear messages to anyone who counters him that, without saying so, you could suffer the same fate. What do you make of all of that and where Vladimir Putin stands right now?
I think that's true, Neil. In 2007, when Putin was at the Munich Security Conference, he made it very clear that he wants to isolate the West and create his own axis of evil. Keep in mind, they've been at BRICS here recently. He's doing things with the Chinese, President Xi, next month. And, he's moving forward in that front. He's using, the global food supply to leverage. He didn't do so well on energy, but he's stoking up diplomacy in ways, and other international institutions are, beginning to rethink their current policy. So all of this having been said, Putin hasn't given up. Yes, he's warned the oligarchs, he's warned his own people. He's conducted some very interesting arrests, especially of nationalists in his own country. And now the Ukrainians are taking the fight to Russia. And of course, that's only going to sour with regard to the Russian people. And it's going to create more problems for Mr. Putin.
Colonel, Vivek Ramaswamy, the surging Republican presidential candidate, was on Fox and Friends this morning. It was a fascinating interview in which he shared his views on Ukraine. He's not keen on pouring good money after bad. Didn't put it in so many words, but he said it in so many words. And what's more, he said motivation for this was this idea, we don't want to drive Russia into the hands of China or the closeness of China. What do you think of that argument, that we should be cognizant of the fact that China is our bigger threat, not Russia?
Well, I agree that China is likely our larger threat, Neil, but at the same time, I think Putin and Xi are in bed together anyway, and it's ongoing. Just keep in mind, back right before he launched this invasion of Ukraine, Putin was at the end of really the Olympics in Beijing. He sat down with Xi, and from all reports, he was reporting out to Xi what he intended to do. Now, I think behind the scenes, Xi and his administration have been helping the Russians, maybe not with a lot of lethal equipment, but certainly with some high-tech microchips, certainly some energy purchases. So there are a lot of variables here, but I would tend to disagree with Vivek in that regard that China, yes, it's a significant threat, but at the same time, Russia and China are two peas in a pod at this point. They're totalitarians. They're working, trying to create this new international system using BRICS or whatever mechanism they can. And quite frankly, with Saudi Arabia in their camp and others coming to their camp, they're doing well, especially as we're beginning to apparently diminish in our stature across the world.
I'm curious your take on, if you're Xi Jinping, who do you prefer win the next presidential election? Joe Biden, or if Donald Trump maintains his lead and gets the Republican nomination, Donald Trump?
Yeah, I think Mr. Biden clearly. I do believe that the Chinese have leveraged, to a certain degree, some media, certain political figures. Certainly, they're getting the payback that they've sought, as President Xi has said for so long about the Opium War of a century and a half ago, through the fentanyl invasion in this country. There's not one area that I can think of that Xi would favor Mr. Trump over, certainly not economically. And given the Chinese situation today, which is in the doldrums, to say the least, economically, that they don't need Mr. Trump coming in, reimposing new tariffs and making it more competitive for them. They need help. And Xi won't buy into, the agenda that I believe Mr. Trump would bring to the table.
Amazing. I had a lot to throw at you there, Colonel. I thought I'd get you stumped on it. You handled it all with ease. I got to do better homework next time. No, great job, Colonel. Very good seeing you. Have a safe weekend, and thank you for your service to this country.
Thanks, Neil.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.